Don't, and I mean please don't, in your consulting case interviews. Hi, my name's Henry. I'm an incoming BCG consultant, and here at the Consulting Axis, we help you align your future in consulting and beyond. And in this video, we're going to be looking at the one mistake that if you make will cost you a consulting offer. Now, I honestly believe that your interview could be going perfectly up until the point that you make this mistake, and then, well, your interviewer can completely make up their mind in that moment that they're not going to be leaving that room wanting to give you a job offer. So enough about how important this is. What actually is the mistake? Don't, and I mean please don't, in your consulting case interviews, force fit frameworks. Now, before you start thinking, I've got what I came for, let's get watching the video. Now, I'll still be going through lots of very useful information. What exactly do I mean by force-fitting frameworks? Why is this so bad? And how to avoid this? And that is super important. So firstly, what exactly do I mean by force-fitting frameworks? Well, take a look at a very common profitability framework, which is really helpful in any sort of profitability style case study. So if in your case interviews, your interviewer introduces a case by saying, our client is called Fashion for Men, who specialise in men's fashion and want to increase their profits by expanding their business. Now, if you just think to yourself, oh, they said the word profits, I'm going to use this profitability framework, that means you're force-fitting frameworks because you're forgetting about everything else they said, like they're in the fashion industry, specifically the male fashion industry, and they're also looking to expand. And these things are vital in solving the case, so when you create a framework, you need to consider all of them. So why is it so bad to force-fit frameworks? Well, I think I can break this down into 3 main points. Firstly, it will hinder you from solving the case. Like I just said, you need to consider everything they say when solving a case, not just thinking about what category the case falls into and force-fitting a framework. Secondly, consultants don't force-fit frameworks, i.e. in their actual jobs, they don't just force past solutions onto new clients because even if they have the same sort of issues, this might not mean the same solutions. For example, if both Tesla and Lamborghini came to you asking you to grow their businesses, this wouldn't have the same answer because they're very different companies with very different consumer bases and very different products. So if consultants don't force-fit frameworks, then your interviewer will not like it if you do. Now, thirdly, if all you've ever done is force-fit frameworks, then you'll really struggle when they ask you a case that you've never really seen before. For example, if you think to yourself, okay, I've got a framework for profitability cases, I've got a framework for market entry case studies and so on, if they then in your interview ask you a pricing case study and you've never seen one of these before and all you've ever done is force-fit frameworks, you're going to really struggle. However, if you get used to creating unique frameworks, then you'll be able to deal with curveball cases much better. So finally, how can you avoid making this mistake and be able to create unique case-specific frameworks? Well, I actually made a whole video dedicated to this, which I'll put up there and I'll put a link to in the description, but I'll give you a summary now. So whenever you're presented a problem or a case that you need to create a framework for, I would highly recommend following the following process. So firstly, you need to think to yourself, what could I possibly need to consider when answering this question? And then you want to categorize those things into, I would say, 2 to 4 categories. And then from these categories, you need to do the process again. So think to yourself, what do I need to consider to answer this box or this box? And you keep on doing that until you think the bottom boxes are simple enough to explore on their own. Now, if you do want a more in-depth discussion about this topic and examples, then I would highly recommend checking out my previous video, which is in the description. So thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like or subscribe if you haven't already. But for now, best of luck with your consulting case interviews.